Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Nicholas Logothetis, co-founder and chairman of the board of Concordia, and Ambassador Paula Dobriansky, former Undersecretary of State for Global Affairs.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I am Nick Logothetis. I'm the chairman and co-founder of Concordia. It's a great honor for me to be here this afternoon. So each year, the Concordia Leadership Award recognizes global leaders within the public, private, and nonprofit sectors who inspire others through their ability to turn vision into impact. Nominated by Concordia's Board of Directors, Leadership Council, Senior Advisors, and Advisors, three Leadership Award recipients are selected from the public, private, and nonprofit sector each year by the Leadership Award Committee. This year, I'm pleased to announce the recipient of this award for the public sector, His Excellency President Iván Duque, President of the Republic of Colombia. On a personal note, I would just like to say very briefly that Iván, then President Duque, has been one of Concordia's most impactful supporters from day one. He was at our first summit. He supported us as a politician, as a private citizen, as a president. And this independent process to select President Duque as the winner of the Public Sector Award within our institutional organization of Concordia makes both Matt and myself extremely happy. I'd like to introduce the presenter of the award, Ambassador Paula Dobriansky, another Leadership Council member, former Undersecretary of State for Global Affairs and Senior Fellow at Harvard University's Belfer Center for International Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. It is a privilege and an honor today to speak about President Iván Duque's this year's recipient of Concordia's Leadership Award. His accomplishments are many. A student of history, an author, a statesman, President Duque has displayed tremendous courage, strong leadership, and strategic vision. Like the great Winston Churchill, someone who the president admires greatly, his resilience in fighting for his convictions, values, and goals will endure and ensure that his legacy in Colombia and around the world will live on. U.S. Secretary General Antonio Guterres put it well during his visit to Colombia in November 2021, while celebrating the 5th anniversary of Colombia's peace treaty. He said that President Duque has led Colombia with, quote, a pioneer spirit, always seeking to move his country forward. He has been a transformative leader who has significantly advanced the U.S.-Colombia relationship. As one of the longest-standing democracies and the first constitutional government in South America, Colombia has remained a steadfast ally of the United States, committed to democracy, rule of law, and free enterprise. And on the occasion of the 200th anniversary of U.S.-Colombia relations, President Duque visited the United States to mark this important occasion. Also, a very significant development which underscores the very strength of the U.S.-Colombia relationship occurred last March during the president's visit to Washington, D.C. At that time, U.S. President Joe Biden announced he would notify the U.S. Congress of his intent to designate Colombia a major non-NATO ally. It is a major non-NATO ally now. This designation gives Colombia status as NATO's first and only member to Latin America, and further reinforces the strong bilateral defense relationship between the United States and Colombia. And when Russia invaded Ukraine, President Duque stepped up and he supported the United States by immediately condemning Russia's actions and called for the withdrawal of Russian troops. It was during this period that he also took the initiative with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, and with leaders in Poland, Romania, Slovakia, and other European countries to offer Colombia's advice on migration management. Domestically, I know we all know, one of the toughest issues which President Duque has dealt with is that of Venezuelan refugees fleeing the Maduro regime. He has steadfastly demonstrated strong leadership and enduring compassion, and he has been lauded worldwide for his efforts. As of March 2021, an estimated 1.7 million people from Venezuela were based in Colombia, approximately 32% of all Venezuelan migrants in Latin America. The president worked to grant them the right to get an education and remain and work in Colombia for 10 years, the largest such temporary protected status program in the history of the Western Hemisphere. Also under President Duque's leadership, Colombia has been a regional leader in counter-drug efforts. 2 years ago, the U.S.-Colombia Growth Initiative was unveiled and focused on drug eradication and sustainable investment in rural Colombia. But I will also add, we must continue there. Both of our countries must continue to work jointly to ensure that Colombia's democratic institutions and rule of law are not weakened by narcotics trafficking. The Atlantic magazine said last month, President Duque, quote, oversaw a record of policy success unmatched in recent South American history, unquote. Through our flourishing security cooperation, counter-narcotics efforts, promotion of civil society, President Duque has demonstrated true leadership for the Colombian people. President Duque, a really sincere and hearty congratulations on this award. We ask you to come forward. We'd like to present it to you. And congratulations.
Paula, thank you so much. Thank you for those words.
Absolutely.
Muchas gracias.
Take a picture.
Here, maybe we go over here. We'll move a little bit.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks.
Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure for me to be here once again in this great Concordia Summit in Miami. I want to thank Nicholas Logothetis. I want to thank Matthew Swift, Ambassador Dobriansky, Secretary Almagro. It's always great to see you. President Uribe, President Lacalle. It's great to see friends who have been defenders of democracy. I want to also express my gratitude for those very gathering and touching words from Maria Paula Correa this afternoon, my Chief of Staff, the members of my cabinet who are here today. And also, I want to express my gratitude to Ambassador Pinzon, Ambassador Vecchio, who have also worked very hard from years ago defending democracy. It is a great privilege to me to be here and to receive this award. I take it with humbleness, but I also take it with commitment. Because 12 years ago, we were in New York City with my good friend, President Uribe, and we received a call from two young leaders who wanted to create this event called the Concordia Summit, Matthew Swift and Nicholas Logothetis. And I remember how President Uribe immediately responded with a yes to participate in what was the first gathering of this nature. And I remember that in that conversation we had, we talked about what Concordia meant. And in Spanish, Concordia, it's an environment to build accords. And that environment has to be of pluralism, multiplicity of thought, and being able to put all the pieces together and find common solutions. 12 years have passed, and Concordia has become one of the most important, if not the most important gathering that annually takes place where the private sector and the public sector meet to agree actions in favor of humanity. And I feel very pleased to have collaborated in some way during that creation. I was present at creation, but I also seen the evolution. And I know that today Concordia is an institution that keeps on defending democracy all over the world, but has taken a very strong stand in Latin America. And I strongly believe that the principles that Concordia has enabled to be discussed in a permanent way are very simple, but are very profound. The respect for independent institutions, the respect for private sector initiative, the respect for the rule of law, and the respect for free press. Those four simple elements have become the cornerstone of this permanent conversation. 4 years ago, we were having in Colombia the Concordia Summit, and I was a keynote speaker at the time. And I shared a vision that was based on 3 pillars: legality and the rule of law, plus entrepreneurship equals equality, or equidad in Spanish. Those elements that were the essence of the plan that we presented for Colombia never had in mind that we were about to face a multiplicity of crises of a magnitude that never had any precedent. We had to face a pandemic after 100 years. But even if the Spanish flu was considered by many the most dangerous one, COVID-19 has been the first pandemic of a globalized area, and its economic and social effects have been devastating, with no other precedent in recent times. We also had to face a migration crisis that no other country in Latin America had ever suffered. Millions of Venezuelans, brothers and sisters, who were crossing the border with frozen bones, lacking the access to healthcare services, with sorrow and despair, trying to build a lifetime opportunity. And that had to also be combined with suffering for the first time in Colombian soil, the passing of a hurricane category 5 in the archipelago of San Andrés, Providencia, and Santa Catalina, destroying completely the island of Providence, that is located more than 800 kilometers away from the shore of Cartagena, without having a port. And we also never thought that we will have to face all the complexities derived from commitments that were signed in the past without any resources or any possibility to strongly build peace in a country like Colombia. So all those challenges that were there were the challenges that we faced during my administration. But I understood from the first moment that the concept of resilience exactly means to take adversity and making it an opportunity. And even in times when we live in a VUCA world, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, that make decision-making more complex, more threatening, and more challenging, and even more complex than those 4 letters is that we live in times of disinformation, where there are wars of communication taking place every day, where algorithm manipulation want to plant the seed of hatred and division and polarization, and where that disinformation becomes the biggest threat to democracy, because democracy was built to allow the citizens to express themselves with sound information, not with manipulated information. And we also had to put into consideration that we had as our neighbor the most brutal dictator in Latin America, who has been a crony and who has been an ally of terrorist organizations. We faced all those challenges, and I can say that 4 years after, none of those challenges moved us away from achieving what we wanted to achieve in our National Development Plan, where we're about to meet 86% of that plan without changing one single indicator, becoming the National Development Plan with the highest level of execution in the last 40 years. We also feel proud that even facing those moments, we had to take decisions that were unpopular. And it happens that if you want to exercise true leadership, popularity must not be an objective, especially in times where migration in some parts of the world is either faced with xenophobia or with indifference. We didn't. We're not a rich country, but we said to the Venezuelan brothers and sisters that we were not going to leave them in despair. And we tried to accommodate all the set of policies and regulation to attract them to Colombia, to let them know that they will be visible. And we were able to put together an unprecedented temporary protection status that today grants rights to those Venezuelans who can exercise those rights in Colombia. Many people said that if we embrace that policy, we will have higher unemployment. Many people said if we embrace that policy, we will have higher informality. Many people said that if we embrace that policy, we'll have higher inequality. But you know what happens? When you look at the results, at the facts, today, after embracing that policy, we have the lowest informality rate ever achieved from Colombia, measured trimestrally. We have also recovered 100% of the jobs we lost by the pandemic. And we have the higher amount of citizens contributing to the pension system in Colombia. So we demonstrated that you can be fraternal with migration and at the same time achieve big results. We have to say as well that facing all these challenges put us in a very complicated situation in 2020. After addressing many policies that enhance the Colombian economy to grow above the regional average, the world average, the OECD average in 2019. And we were one of the economies that had the least reduction in the growth in 2020. But we were able to recover in 2021, reaching a 10.6% growth. And also, this year, achieving the best first trimester of this century in Colombia in terms of economic growth. How we did it, and that takes me to another value of Concordia. By being pro-business, pro-micro, small, medium, and large-size business, because we decided from the first day of the administration to lower corporate taxation, to have a more transparent taxation regulation, to be able to simplify, to enhance the digital invoice, to allow small companies to tax or pay their taxes in a differentiated way as long as they grow and generate more income. And we allowed to discount 100% of the VAT that is devoted for capital goods, and we allowed to discount 50% of the local taxes out of the general corporate income tax. That allowed us to increase growth, and we have to sustain it. We have also been able to reach the highest agricultural exports in terms of sales, and we have expanded foreign direct investment in Colombia. we have to build a society where no businessman ever has to be threatened by the government. And we achieved that. We guaranteed all the private sector the opportunities to excel. And that's why Colombia has been able to become one of the most attractive places to invest in Latin America. But the biggest challenge we faced definitely was the COVID pandemic. And we decided to embrace this cause with 3 criteria. We will not decide on politics, we will decide based on science. We're not going to allow prejudice to become the driver of social debate. We will have always the doctors on our side. And we decided to create a national vaccination program that was massive, that was free, that was equitable, and that no one will be left behind. And ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, when you look at the Bloomberg Resilience Index in the handling of the pandemic, Colombia ranks first in Latin America and the Caribbean. Is the second in the hemisphere and the 12th in the world, which means that the way we embraced this was based on the sound idea of benefiting the most. And I also want to say something today. Another policy that we have embraced that I consider is part of the ethics and the leadership of the 21st century. It's about our Concordia with the environment. We had that conversation over the weekend with Nick and Matt in Colombia, and I said that the biggest challenge of our time is the climate crisis we face. And we have only until 2030 to curb this down. If we don't do it, we will pass to the next generation a failed planet. And there's no planet B. This is for serious. We have to reduce our carbon footprint dynamically. And we have to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. And that carbon neutrality has to go hand in hand with nature positiveness. And being a country that only represents 0.6% of all the world greenhouse gases emissions, but being one of the countries that is more threatened by the effects of climate change. Having a country that 35% of its territory is Amazonic land, 50% is tropical jungle, and having 52% of the world high-altitude ecosystems, better known as páramos, and having more than 900,000 square kilometers of maritime areas are sufficient enough to let us be leaders and not just followers. So what we did in this administration is to put together an energy transition that is passing from barely 0.2% of our energy matrix to 20% in non-conventional renewables, to become in this 4 years the country with the highest amount of electric vehicles per capita in Latin America and the Caribbean, and to achieve, as we did it few days ago in Lisbon, to have 30% of the Colombian territory declared a protected area. Those are major environmental milestones that Colombia has achieved, facing a pandemic and demonstrating that is Concordia with the environment what is going to make a difference for now and for the future. So I gladly can say that we have passed through many complicated things, but we feel proud that 90% of the plan that we presented before the Colombian electors has been met. And we feel proud that during our administration, we were able to promote the private sector, but also to promote a generous and sustainable social policy. And I just want to describe 2 main indicators that makes us feel proud. For many years in Colombia, people said that raising the minimum wage in a dynamic and ambitious way was only going to drive more unemployment or more informality. We ended 2021 with the highest real increase in the minimum wage in 50 years. And we have demonstrated in this semester that we continue to lower unemployment, and we are also creating more formal jobs. Why? Because we did it in Concordia, workers and entrepreneurs and the government. So I'll finish by saying that the cost of defending democracy based on these principles in a VUCA world required us to act bluntly, to defend by heart what we believe in, and that 24 days away from leaving office, but working 3 shifts that makes it 75, I can clearly say that we have defended democracy in Colombia, and we will not let anyone take democracy away from us. When we are elected presidents, not emperors. We're not single rulers. Presidents are not elected to impose whatever they believe in the majority of society. They are elected to bridge the divide, to work along the institutions, to make reforms, lasting reforms, to be able to recognize the evolutions of things that were soundly done in the past and try to sustain certainty for the future. We worked hard to achieve it, and I think we fulfilled many of the things that we promised. But the battle for democracy will continue. And I encourage Nick and Matt to continue making Concordia this place where we defend private sector initiative, free press, independent institutions, and the rule of law as the cornerstone of the right Concordia between the public and the private sector. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.